Welcome to Family Care Navigators, the podcast where we empower you with the knowledge, support, and resources to navigate the challenging yet rewarding journey of caring for your loved ones. I'm Bill.
And I'm Stephanie.
We are thrilled to be your guide on this journey.
Together, we'll explore the emotional, practical, and logical aspects of caregiving, from hiring the right help to choosing the best care facility and everything in between. Whether you're a seasoned caregiver or just starting out, this podcast is here to provide you with valuable insights and heartfelt stories that resonate.
Let's dive in and navigate this journey together.
Well, welcome to Family Care Navigators, the show that inspires and equips you to navigate life's transitions with resilience and purpose. Here we take time to reflect on where we've been, set achievable goals for where we're headed, and embrace the changes along the way. Whether you're building a support network, adapting to new challenges, or planning for the future, this podcast is your companion for growth and clarity. We'll share insightful conversations, practical tips, and real-life stories to help you take meaningful steps forward. Because no matter where you are in your journey, you're never walking it alone. So let's dive in and move forward together. We are at the end of the year. I think that this is always a great time to kind of reflect, look back, say, what did our year look like? And then as caregivers, you might think this is odd, but to look forward and to see what we can do maybe to enhance our lives, to enhance the lives of the people that we care for, and to kind of really help us. If you didn't like how this year went, let's see if we can't set you up to enjoy this coming year a little bit better.
Yeah, because the recent past, that's it. It's the past. You can't change it. All you can do is reflect on it. You can build, you can grow. You can say, how can I take the next steps going forward with my caregiving for my loved one?
Absolutely. So with those thoughts in mind, that's what we're going to look at today. And we do want to talk to you just very, very practically about caregiving and what the future holds. So first of all, I think that you really do have to take the time to reflect on the past year. You know, you need to acknowledge the feelings that you had. You need to look and see what all happened. You know, our emotions are a funny thing. And if we don't deal with them, they will deal with us.
Absolutely.
And so I think you have to be very aware and say, okay, this is where I am. But also consider the person that you are giving care to. And you need to help them process their feelings as well. And you need to help them with their emotions and looking back at the year. Because my guess is it probably wasn't the year that they would have planned either, right? So I think we have to be very honest and reflect back on our experiences over the past year. You need to discuss the highs and the lows. You need to really and truly take a look at it, see what lessons you've learned, what you've overcome. You know, it's important to know that you are stronger than you ever think that you are. Many people did not sign up for caregiving. It wasn't on their list of, oh, this is my life goal, right? So I think that it is really important that we say, okay, as a caregiver, I really was stronger than I ever thought I could be. I was braver than I ever thought I could be. And I did things that I never thought I could. You need to count those as wins.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the low points, in your caregiving, you think, how in the world did I ever come out of that? I mean, because you get there to that point, you're like, I just can't do it anymore. I cannot survive. I cannot. But you tighten up your belt, grab yourself by the bootstraps, and you take off. And you come out of that, and you've learned how to come out of that. Now, do you want to repeat going back into those lowest of lows? Probably not. But here's one good thing to know. You've been there. You've done that. You know how to get out of that.
Absolutely. And I think that that is really important. And that's very honest and transparent to say, you know what? Okay, maybe I didn't handle that situation so well. Maybe I didn't look at things in the right light. It's okay to say that. What you don't want to do is live there.
Right.
You just want to acknowledge it and move forward. So I think reflection of the past year is super important.
I mean, hindsight, they always say, is 2020.
Right.
I mean, you can see exactly what you should have done back in the time when you had to reflect, when you had time to reflect back. But when you're in the moment, you have to react to the moment. Now, the moment may not be the greatest moment, the greatest decision you made in that moment, but it was a decision that you felt in that moment was one for the time.
Right. Absolutely. So secondly, and you're going to think, Stephanie, are you kidding me? But yes, I think that you have to set goals for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, I mean, you need to decide, am I going to take better care of myself? So self-care. Am I going to get help? Am I going to maybe learn how to do this caregiving thing a little bit better? Maybe I'm going to listen to more podcasts, or I'm going to watch more videos, or I'm going to do something. Or maybe I'm going to learn how to respond properly to the person that I am giving care for. You see, there is a two-sided thing to this. You can either give all of yourself to them and then you neglect yourself, or you don't give enough of yourself and you neglect them. So I think one very healthy goal is to have some balance in your life when it comes to caregiving.
And you have to honestly look at that balance. Mm-hmm. You cannot say, oh, I'm 50-50. No. Maybe have somebody look at it with you and say, okay, what do you see? Mm-hmm. Tell me what you're seeing. Because we can't always see things correctly when we're looking at them. But if we have some outside help saying, okay, do you feel I'm balanced, or do you feel that I'm way off kilter here? Tell me. Get some help. Even if you talk to your best friend. Say,
well,
hey, help me out.
My sister was a great person to balance that off with. And we had an experience as children because our aunt and her family took care of my grandmother. And for many, many years, they cared for her in her home. And my grandmother was an invalid. She was bedridden for 20 years. She was a severe diabetic. And really, she was what they called senile at the time. Mm-hmm. And so she didn't know anyone when they would come in the room, and she talked out of her head all the time. I mean, it was a very hard job. But one thing about them is that they never let any of us help. And so my sister said to me one time when she was visiting, you have become like our aunt. And I said, what? She said, I know you don't mean to, but looking at you from the outside in, you don't let anyone else do for mother the way that we feel like we should. And she said, I know that is not intentional. She said, I know that it's just that you have a routine and you have a schedule and so forth and so on. But I need you to acknowledge the fact that maybe you're not letting us help as much as we want to. It was quite the wake-up call.
Yeah.
So I think that I had to settle in my mind that issue and then say, okay, here's the way I'm going to handle this. When they come home, I'm just going to let them. I'm going to let them do whatever they need to do, whatever they want to do. I'm just going to let them. And I think that really did help me to process and to be able to take a step back when everybody was home. But that had to be intentional. So that was a goal. That was an intentional thing. And I think that as a caregiver, you need to be aware of that. Okay. So set you up some goals for next year and decide how you're going to reach them. Don't just put them on paper. Have a plan step by step. Okay. I'm going to spend 5 minutes a day doing this, or 10 minutes a day doing this, working toward my goal.
And even if you set yourself quarterly goals, that's even great too. If you think, I can't do goals for the entire year, okay, set them for the first quarter of the year and say, okay, maybe set you 5 goals for the first quarter of the year. You achieve those goals, set you another 5 goals for the next quarter, and just so on and so on. Or even if it's 10, it doesn't matter. Set the goals for the quarter and then work on the quarter. Because planning out a whole year, yeah, I'm a planner. I love to plan out an entire year. But sometimes in those cases, that can happen. I have to plan out by quarter. So I have to put my mindset into okay, this first quarter, what am I going to do? Second quarter, what am I going to do? And when I get to the middle of the second quarter, I'm already thinking about the third. In the middle of the third, I'm thinking about the fourth.
Right. So, I mean, honestly, and even in caregiving, it can be month to month.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that you want to get a closet cleaned out.
Right.
Okay, January, that's your goal. You're going to get the closet cleaned out. Guys, we all know that in caregiving, your days change from hour to hour.
Oh, yeah. In a drop of...
You might have a plan that today you're going to do something, but the person that you're caring for has a need that trumps what you're going to do. So it might be easier to even do month to month goals.
Yeah. I mean, those achievable ones.
Yes.
They can be done.
Absolutely.
So let's just do it.
Absolutely. Number 3, your self-care strategies. I understand, women. Most of you are saying self-care. Are you kidding? I don't even have time to get my hair done. I don't have time to get my nails done. I don't even have time some days to take a shower. Those are very real situations. I have faced them on many, many occasions during our 15 years of caregiving. So I understand that. But at some point, you have to understand that if you don't take care of you, you will not be able to take care of anyone else. It is truly the drop down the oxygen mask situation when you're talking about self-care. On the airplane, they tell you, put your mask on first. If we're losing altitude, you're going to have oxygen masks that drop from the ceiling. You put it on yourself first, and then you help your child. Then you help the elderly person next to you. Then you help someone else, but you take care of yourself first. The reason being is if you don't take care of yourself first, you can't help anyone else.
That's very true.
So you need to be very aware that you need to set up some strategies for self-care. You need to understand, okay, I'm getting up at 6 o'clock every morning. From 6 to 6:30, don't talk to me. I'm going to get my shower. I'm going to read a minute. I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Don't talk to me. Set it up so that you take care of you. Because I'm going to be very honest and tell you, I did not do that during our caregiving journey. And after my mother was gone, I paid the price for it in my health. Because only at that time could I let my guard down. And I've paid the price for it. So I want to encourage you, don't be like me. Do something different and plan out your self-care strategies for this year.
I mean, find a good hobby.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you think, oh, okay, I can go and sew for 2 or 3 hours. Go sew 2 or 3 hours.
15 minutes will do you a world of good.
I mean, however long it is.
Yeah.
Go sew. If you can just run down to the corner market, just to walk through the market. Okay, go. But take some quality time for yourself just to decompress of what's going on, recharge, and then refire.
Right. A 20-minute walk.
Yeah.
Will do you a world of good. Or if you have a treadmill, get on the treadmill for 20 minutes. It'll do you a world of good.
Get outside and enjoy some vitamin D.
Absolutely.
Because that's one thing you cannot deplete your vitamins in your body.
Yes.
And those vitamins, you think, oh, I can just take a pill. No. Those natural ways of getting vitamins into your body and recharging your body is the way to go.
Absolutely.
Don't artificially put something in there.
Right. So go ahead and plan those self-care strategies. They're super important. Next, how about building a support network? Now, this is hard if you're a control freak. Honestly, it is. It's hard. But you have to have those around you that support you. You have to have those that help you. you are going to have to learn how to trust people. And that might be difficult for you. And if it is, I want to encourage you. The best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And having trust issues is like eating an elephant. You have to take one bite at a time. So it might be that you invite a friend over for 30 minutes and you ask them, will you sit with the person 30 minutes? And then you go take your walk, or you go down to the corner market, or you go sew, or you go do whatever, but only for 30 minutes. Set your timer. And then gradually add to that time. Hire someone to come in for 30 minutes or an hour. It is okay to build your support network because you need not only practical help, but you need emotional support. Your friends need to know that you're struggling emotionally. Mm-hmm. Your friends need to know, hey, I could use a text every now and then. I could use a phone call every now and then. I could use going to get a cup of coffee every now and then, or somebody just showing up with a cup of coffee. Whatever that might be, you need to build a network of support, and you need to be open and honest with people and say, I need this. And that's going to be hard if you, like I said, are a control freak or you have trust issues. To ask for help is difficult, but I promise you it's worth it.
You know, when you have those ask for help, you talk to friends, when you're having that confidence in that friend to talk to them, celebrate those wins that you've had within what's going on. Mm-hmm. Because you may think they're insignificant, but they can be huge.
Absolutely.
Emotionally and physically. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially emotionally, because you get those emotional wins. You're like, yes, this was accomplished. You feel so much better. You feel like a huge burden's been lifted off of you. You feel like, I can conquer the world now. Absolutely.
You have to learn to celebrate the small wins.
Yeah.
They're vitally important in this caregiving journey. You're going to have wins. You're going to have some losses. Mm-hmm. Learn to celebrate the wins.
Yes. And don't dwell on the losses.
Absolutely.
Celebrate them and build your faith and build yourself up saying, yeah, I made it through that. I came out of it.
Absolutely. The other thing is learning how to share resources and learning about resources that are available. There are more resources available for caregivers than what we actually realize.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've had some great guests here on the podcast. I mean, there's some amazing folks that are out there that are resources you can tap into. And in our 15 years of caregiving, we had no idea they were there. We found them out, within the last year or two or whatever. And it's like, wow, you've been here. Like, yeah, we've been here for 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. Really? Yeah. So go back, listen to some of the podcasts we have on some of those great folks that have some services that are offered to you.
Well, and the other little caveat to that is you have to be open to the resources. Mm-hmm. I've had people approach me and say, well, do you have a resource for this or do you have a resource for that? And because it didn't look or feel the way that they wanted it to look or feel, or even maybe it didn't operate exactly the way that they wanted it to, they were not open to it.
Yeah.
I want you to understand they're available. You just need to be open. You need to not be closed-minded. And then when you find a resource, make note of it. And then I promise you, someone's going to walk into your life and they're going to need a resource. And if you have paid attention, you're going to be able to help them on their journey by saying, hey, did you know that this is available? Or did you know that that is available? That's happened to us over and over.
Numerous times.
And honestly, that's how this podcast got started.
Yeah.
Was because people needed resources. And we knew about a lot of them. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we started the podcast because we want to be an encouragement. We want to walk with you through this journey. So the next thing I think is vitally important to your emotional health, and that is mindfulness and gratitude. In this coming year, I want to encourage you to start practicing some mindfulness techniques and some gratitude techniques. Mindfulness is being aware, being present right here where you are. Put your phone down and be present in the moment. Be mindful of your surroundings. Be mindful of how the person that you are caring for is feeling. I will never forget, after my mother came to live with us, it's funny because my dad and I were affectionate. He was a hugger. We would hug. I'd walk up, I'd poke him in the side and tickle him or whatever. And he would do the same to me. You know, he was kind of a jokester. My mother, on the other hand, was not that way. She would hug you sometimes, and then that was it. But what I discovered is that as the elderly become more elderly and their spouse dies off, their children are grown, their grandchildren are grown, they don't have any human touch. And I remember as I walked through the door of my mother's room one day, it was just as if the Holy Spirit said, Stephanie, she needs a hug. She needs to be touched. She needs that human connection.
She had us for so many years.
Exactly. And so, but she had gone several months without any.
Right.
And so at that point, I became very deliberate about making sure that I touched her, that I hugged her, that I was affectionate with her. And so then every night I kissed her goodnight. I tucked her in, the whole 9 yards, because I needed to learn to be mindful of her feelings and what she needed. And I needed to be present in the moment. The other thing was gratitude. I want to encourage you to get a journal this year. And every morning when you get up, I want you to write down 5 things that you're thankful for, that you are grateful for. And I mean, really begin to dig deep. Not just, oh, I'm thankful for my family. No, dig deep and start being grateful for the life that you have and the things in your life that you have. And while things may not be perfect, it will change your perspective of life. And if we will become more mindful and more grateful in this coming year, I believe that we will see a turnaround in our perspective and how we see things. So that's just a little, encouragement there about mindfulness and gratitude.
And one thing, talking about mindfulness and gratitude, you're just being so grateful that they're still with you.
Absolutely.
Because, once it's gone, it's gone. So live in the moment of gratitude. Just don't say, oh, I'll just put it off. No, live exactly in that moment. Cherish that moment. And best of all, just let them know, hey, I love you. So glad you're here. And just share with them your thoughts and your feelings and go and be grateful for where you are.
And it's all right to say today's been a hard day.
Yes.
It's all right to say to them, yes, this is difficult. When I have to change you, when I have to lift you, those are difficult things.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it.
Right.
So be mindful and be grateful that they're here.
Yeah.
Now, this is one that I promise you all caregivers are going to know about. Change.
Ugh.
Change.
Change. We don't like change.
It's the one consistent thing in caregivers' lives.
Yes.
Change. You're going to change your plans. You're going to change your care. You're going to change the bed. Change is going to happen. And you have to be okay with change.
Yeah. We used to say we have to have that Gumby spirit.
Absolutely.
Those of you know what Gumby was as a child, it was so flexible and movable. You could twist it, turn it, do whatever, but it would come back to where it needed to be. So you need to be able to adapt, overcome, change, move, flex. I mean, whatever you think, I can't do that. You know what? Sometimes you have to just look at yourself and say, okay, I can't do it, but how do I need to do it?
Right.
And that's where you have to have that just openness and not be so rigid. I was very rigid in things. I'm like, this has to be done this way. This has to be done that way. This has to be, no. I get to the point where I was like, it can't flow like that.
No.
It has to flow like it flows.
Absolutely.
Because you are caregiving for a loved one that every second is different with them. Every minute's different with them. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's ebbs and flows.
Absolutely. And so their health conditions change. Sometimes they can change from morning to evening. We've seen that many times.
Oh, yeah.
Your day starts out great, and by that night, you're in the ER.
Yeah. I mean, so when you're together with your family, friends, and things like that over, the end of the year, seasons and celebrations, notice what's going on. Keep an eye on if you're fortunate enough to have both your folks with you, keep an eye on if they're covering for each other, because there could be something going on with them, and it's a change in them that you are seeing, but not really seeing. And you need to reflect and talk with others. Say, hey, did you see that? Yeah, I saw that. And talk with each other, because you don't want to be into the point to where, you're going to have to change on a dime. Yeah, it's going to happen. But if you're looking for some things, looking for some signs, the change won't be as bad, but it'll still be there.
Correct. The other thing, you need to go ahead and start planning for the future. Well, what does that mean? Well, it goes back to what Bill just said. This holiday season that you are in, or the next time that you are with your family, those that are getting up in age or that have major health issues, you might want to start planning for the future. What do I mean by that? Okay, here's an example. When my father started falling, my mother was getting to the point where she couldn't lift her arms and be as mobile as she needed to be. We had a family meeting, and we gave them notice, and we said, okay, we're having this family meeting, and at that point in time, you need to decide who you're going to live with, when and if something happens. And you need to tell us what your plan is. What is it that you want done? And so we had that family meeting. They made the decision as to where they wanted to live, and it was with us. And then we had to talk to them in great detail. What do your finances look like? Do you want to stay with us? Do you want to go to a home, a facility? If so, this is what your finances say you can do or you cannot do. How do you want your medical care treated? Do you have all of your paperwork in order? Do you have a will? Do you have things written up that need to be written up? Have you prepaid your funeral? These are awkward conversations that should be normalized.
Yes.
They should be a normal conversation because inevitably, unless the Lord returns, we're all dying. Nobody's getting out of here alive, right?
That's very true.
And so we need to figure out how and what our future looks like. So you need to have those conversations this coming year. Plan to have it and then work your plan.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you do that, just kind of wrapping up this podcast, let's talk a little bit about community involvement. About, what can you do within the community? Get involved in your community. Take your loved one to a joint group. Take them to an adult daycare if you need to, just to get interaction with others. Simply because they see you every day, every minute of the day. If there's a possibility to take your loved one to a community event, something like that, take them to the library where they're having a day of reading, whether you're going to, Bunko, just to go watch or go watch and play bingo. Just go get involved in the community somewhere. Get involved with a group Because it's a twofold process. The twofold process is you're taking involvement with your loved one to that group. They're getting involved with people, their age. You're also seeing other caregivers that are there, and you guys are talking and reflecting on, what can we do here in our community to help things get much better throughout this caregiving community, because it is all about connections. It's all about community involvement. It's about, knowing what resources are out there. Because again, just reflecting back on the resources, once you get in a community, they may have resources that you have no idea about, and you may have stuff they have no idea about.
Well, and the other thing is, I think that if your older person can still volunteer,
yes,
they can still be active. Maybe they were an executive secretary. So there are places that need you to file.
Mm-hmm.
There are places that need you to sort. There are places that you could proofread.
Right.
There's all kinds of things that you could do. Whatever that looks like, if they are mobile and able to get out, get them out in the community, and you get out in the community with them. It's vitally important. We hope that this helps you in this coming year to truly plan for the next year, to get ready for the next year, and to reflect on last year and be thankful for the wins.
Yeah. And don't forget, you are not in this alone. We are here to help if you need help. FamilyCareNavigators.com is our website. You can check it out there. You can send us private messages through that website. You can also contact us via email or phone. However you'd like to do, join Family Care Navigators each and every week on the podcast. And we thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that your upcoming year is a great one.
Also, subscribe and share this podcast with your friends and family. I'm sure that you know someone that's dealing with some family issues, and we're going to cover all kinds of family issues in this coming year. So subscribe and share and follow us on all of the podcast apps. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Family Care Navigators. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and empowering. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Our community is here to support you every step of the way.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with others who might benefit. Visit our website and follow us on social media for more resources and updates. Until next time, stay strong, stay compassionate, and keep navigating with love. I'm Bill.
And I'm Stephanie.
Take care and see you soon.